Hello, is that you?
There, I think I got it. Hey, Kelly.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me if this is the first podcast since the last podcast?
I think it is.
Hey, what's that? What is that? What are those? What is that stuff called? The little, what do you call it? Not end track. Those little squares that everybody works in.
T-track.
Oh,
T-track, yeah.
Yeah, 12 by 12.
Does our guest tonight know anything about that stuff? Do you know?
Don't know.
I don't know. We'll have to ask him. It'll be a question.
He's always talking about end track. So I thought maybe that was like T-track.
Well, T-track's kind of a shoot-off from N-track, but...
I don't understand T-track at all. I just don't understand it. And I really have no plans on understanding it. I think that's really a key.
Yes, the key, it's there and you don't really want to know much more about it.
Yeah, because I don't understand it. I don't understand how you build a layout out of little 12-inch squares. Why not just
making a quilt?
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't it be ugly then?
No, they're actually pretty. Some of them are pretty.
You've seen some, yes.
Yeah, they had them in Kansas City.
Yeah, I know. Kansas City. That wasn't too long ago.
Oh, yeah, 2018.
Yeah.
5 years, 6 years, 5 years.
5 years ago, yeah. I thought it was pretty neat.
Did you?
Well, because, people don't have space for a larger layout or a shelf layout, or the wife won't let them build a shelf layout in the living room, and they end up, those small little pieces they can carry in their car and hook up to other people.
Wow. Did you see this? The Rapido's HO scale GMD and GMD 9RM, the slug. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's Rapido. They got all sorts of good stuff.
Is this on the free channel or the Patreon?
This is an interview. This is episode such and such.
So it's on the free channel.
It's on the free channel, so we can talk about Rapido all we want.
And every time we say Rapido, we'll hear.
Yep.
Yeah. We won't hear it because you didn't say it. I didn't.
I said Rapido.
I didn't say it.
You didn't say it.
It's like there's a certain keyword I listen for, and if I hear it, I go.
Yeah, and he hears it only from one person. Did we ever say that you were involved in that?
No.
Idle chit chat from others is not recognized.
Exactly.
That's true. Especially from Kelly, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. So, anyways, I'm looking right now. I'm looking at the GP9RM and Slug from Rapido Trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
Rapido Trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
I'm going back to that. Man, I like I got to sign up for the Rapido newsletter. Of course, I would hope so by now. I have, because this is either late May or early June. So I hope by now I've at least taken the time, that 5 minutes. I've taken the time. So but I'm looking at the latest. The latest, it's dated Friday, March 10th at 15:16 Eastern Standard Time. And it's the Rapido newsletter. How often do they come out, those newsletters?
At least once a month.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
I think it's once a month or maybe
we lost Bruce. We lost Bruce. Out. Yeah, Bruce's internet cut out again. Geez, I hope
he went on automatic mute.
I hope our automatic mute. Yeah. Are you there?
Back.
Is he there?
Who?
No.
There he is.
Yeah,
I'm here.
You cut out when we were right at the time when you were saying it comes out once a month or twice a month, and then you disappeared.
Then it said you should also check out the UK one.
Yeah, we didn't hear that before because your internet cut out.
I have no idea what's going on. You've got a new Wi-Fi thing put in on my computer, so I don't know what is the issue.
Yeah, it's time for a new computer. We both need new computers. I wonder.
Mine's only a couple of years old. So.
I wonder if by now I got a new one.
No,
it'd be interesting to find out. Although I have got it running slightly better, so we'll see. Well, it's not funny.
Oh, yes, it is. It's funny because
No, it's not.
Because it's not happening to you.
You got a haircut and you won't be pulling any hair out of it.
I don't know if I would call that a haircut. Nice guy, but it's like I don't want a whole bunch of hair on the top of my head. What part of me looks like I want to be hip? And there is no part of me that is concerned about being hip or in fashion. I'm just a guy. I'm just me. Anyways, let's go back to this. Dear Rapido customer, welcome to 2 new announcements. This was back on, April order deadlines, April 17th, so you've missed it.
Oh.
Ooh.
But it's still plenty of time to order the 44 tonner.
Yes.
That's really all I care about.
Yeah.
Let's see.
How many of those you're going to order?
At least a couple.
There you go. Deck? Undeck?
Undecorated for sure.
Right.
But I want to build a little S-scale layout, and now they've built these 44 tonners. You know, one layout I've always wanted to build is that gum stump, or what are they called?
Gum stump and snowshoe.
Yeah, I've always wanted to build that layout. I always thought it was a cool little layout.
It is a cool little, yeah. There's
And
lots of examples out there.
And I don't think it's very long. I think it's only like 4 feet long, isn't it?
Yeah, it's some like 4 or 5 feet long, something like that. Let me effort that.
And I always thought, geez, it'd be cool if you extended that, you know, like to 8 feet or something like that. Then it would really be a cool layout. Like, so here's what I found. I found it in, it doesn't say the size of the one I found. I wonder how long it is. Maybe that'll be our first. You know what? Let's make that our first question for our guest. We'll ask him how big that.
1 foot by 6 foot, I believe.
Well, don't say it. Now we're going to. Well, he's still in the green room, I guess.
Yeah, he is.
All right. So anyways, if I get some Rapido 44 tonners, I would like to build the gum stump and snowshoe and run them on that. I think that would be a lot of fun.
That would be a beautiful thing to do.
And I think instead of making it 6 feet, I'll make it like 10 feet.
Yep.
And then be even cooler layout like that. It's such a neat layout. I always thought it was such a neat layout.
Yeah.
For a shelf layout, you know? And didn't you say that Jim Sacco's City Classics layout was built on that?
Well, I thought it was, but then I was reading somewhere, not sure what I was reading, but somebody mentioned that they were talking to Jim about that, and he didn't realize it. He kind of came up with his own City Classics layout independently and didn't realize how close it was to the gum stump and snowshoe.
Right, and that's a cool little layout too.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it here. It is 1 foot by 6 foot.
Okay. Well, we'll still ask our guest. Anyways, as far as I'm concerned, if I was to build the gum stump and snowshoe or Jim Sacco's layout, it would be cool to have locomotives from Rapido trains.
You're a fast track to model railroading fun.
If it's N, if it's H-O, the fast track is Rapido.
You like that, eh, Kelly?
I love it.
Kelly's easily amused, apparently.
Yeah, someday we might let you do it.
Nah, it's all right. It sounds better when.
Well, yeah, but it's my show, so if I say you're doing it, you're doing it.
Okay, I'll do it when you tell me to do it. I just got to remember to say the right words. That's all.
Yeah, go ahead and give it a try.
No. Well, I got to practice first. You know how bad I do the email.
Yeah,
I got a little better at it.
All right, so tonight we're going to talk with Brad Williamson of the Iron City N-Scale guys, because Brad's always writing in emails, and here's a post right here that on the Iron City N-Scale group. When I joined, I made a couple of smart remarks because they had questions. And they said, what was my favorite? I think it was the question, what was my favorite model railroad? Maybe not. But the one question was, name 2 N-scale manufacturers. So I answered, seriously?
there's more than one?
Yeah, there's more than one. All right, Brad, come on in here, buddy.
Hello, guys. It's good to be here.
Hi, Brad. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you guys doing?
Good. How was the shrimp in the green room?
It was very good. The strange color, but they tasted fine.
So I hear you're a lone wolf modeler.
I used to be, for sure, yes, for many, many years. Decades, in fact, a lone wolf.
Or could you not find any friends, or?
Just not ones who were really into model railroading. When my brother and I were young kids, we did a little bit of it together, but he kind of lost interest in it through our teenage years. And I live in a very small little town in north central PA, so there aren't a whole lot of people around here. But there weren't too many other people who were even interested in model railroading, let alone N scale. So I was flying solo.
So are you still in the same town you were born in?
I am. Yes, I am.
And what town? What's that town? Is that called?
The town where I live is called Oval, Pennsylvania. It's a very tiny little village. The nearest town of any size is called Jersey Shore. It's near Williamsport, Pennsylvania, which you may know is the home of the Little League World Series.
Okay, so Jersey Shore. You live near the Jersey Shore.
No, that confuses a lot of people. There's a whole big story behind how Jersey Shore got its name. It was one side of the Susquehanna River was settled by people from New Jersey, so they took to calling it the Jersey Shore. And then when the borough was incorporated, that was the name that they went with. But yeah, it's Jersey Shore is a minimum of 5 hours probably from the nearest beach. So
no, you're not too far from Montoursville.
No. That's English's Model Railroad Supply is one of my favorite places to shop, and that's in Montoursville.
You mean Bowser?
Bowser Manufacturing and English's Model Railroad Supply is their store, their walk-in store.
Lee English.
Yes.
Now, how many times have you been there over the years?
Oh, I wouldn't even thousands probably. That's yep.
So that's pretty cool that it was that handy to you.
Yes, that was, and there's really good guys in there that are smart, and if you have questions, they're always quick to help out. So it, in addition to having a nice inventory.
So you're kind of right dead smack in the middle of Pennsylvania, aren't you?
East west, we're right in the center. We're closer to the northern border, closer to New York than we are to the southern border. But yes, north central PA.
Yeah, Williamsport and Dubois. I've been through Dubois a million times on my motorcycle.
Oh, on Route 80, I'm sure, yes.
No, just on, I come down 219.
Oh, okay.
Through
Gotcha.
St. Mary's and all that, through Salamanca up there in New York, and through Bradford.
Yep, I'm familiar with that area.
And there's a cool railroad that runs I think it's in St. Mary's or somewhere down there. There's one of the Johnson City.
Okay.
There's a Geneseo, Wyoming.
It's the Buffalo and Pittsburgh. They're a subsidiary. Yes.
Yeah.
I model that railroad on my layout, my home layout.
Oh, do you?
Well, yep. It's not the main railroad on my layout, but I have an interchange with the Buffalo and Pittsburgh model.
And I've been to State College a million times. All right. So for all of those of you who are listening from around the globe, Brad, did you realize or did you know that the sun never sets on the AML Nation?
I did. I have come to realize that, yes.
That's cool. That's one of my favorite things about the whole deal. There's always somebody somewhere around the world listening to the podcast. But anyways, where we speak of Little Oval and Jersey Shore is dead smack halfway between basically New York and Pittsburgh. New York, the town's nice. They named it twice. And Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, home of the Steelers. So who are you rooting for? Are you rooting for the Giants or the Steelers?
The Steelers.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yep. All my friends in the Iron City group would disown me, but I've actually been a Steelers fan since I was a little kid.
They disown you?
They would if I wasn't a Steelers fan, because almost all those guys are from Pittsburgh.
And how did that all come about? I mean, we're going to jump around and we're going to kind of go in all sorts of different directions, but you write all kinds of cool emails into the show, which helps keep viewer mail going. And you talk about how you met these guys in the Iron City N scale thing, and how did you meet these guys?
All right. Well, if I go clear back to the beginning, when I first started to no longer be a lone wolf, I guess, or a flying solo, would have been around 2018 when I met a fella named Steve McCune, who actually, believe it or not, lives in Plano, Texas. And I was just dabbling around on Facebook, and he had some stuff for sale, and I bought it for him. And then we kind of became friends, and he asked me to check out his website for his layout, which was called Pittsburgh N Scale at the time. He models the Union Railroad. So I kind of got involved with that, way back in 2018. And that's where I met the other fellow, Patrick Moore. And Pat and I started sharing a lot of stuff to this website, and we started feeling bad because we were our layouts really weren't with the theme of his, which he wanted to concentrate on and focus on the Union Railroad. And Pat and I were posting all kind of stuff, and Steve never said anything. He was very nice to let us post there. But then Pat said, we need to, have our own place to post stuff, so we're not dominating and taking up Steve. So that's when Pat started what would become the Iron City N Scale Facebook page, which that would have been probably, I think it was just as we were coming out of the pandemic, maybe late 2020 is when Pat started the Facebook group. And basically everything in the Iron City N Scale has grown since then. So it's been a lot of growth in a pretty short time. It's pretty amazing to think about it, especially for somebody who spent 25 years all on his own.
So when you were at the Tom Stock dinner, and I met you there, who was that other fellow you were with?
That's
the other fellow.
That's his name. The other fellow.
It was like, buddy, what's his name? And the other fellows.
Yeah. And you guys expected me to remember his name. Give me a break.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I was surprised that you remembered mine.
Yeah, I was too.
Told us. You were very transparent. You said I'm never going to remember your names, and we said that was okay.
Oh, we do go for transparency.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. Yeah. That's the key here. Transparency is paramount. That's we live by transparency. Accuracy is really of no concern to us.
Okay. I'll try to keep that in mind during this interview.
So it's of no concern to us. It should be a concern to you. It should be concern to everybody else. But here at the old AML Network studios in the world headquarters in Busted Knuckle, Kentucky, it's really of no concern.
Okay.
So where does Patrick live?
He lives out in a suburb of Pittsburgh near Washington, PA.
Okay.
Is where he lives. Yeah.
I go past Washington all the time on Interstate 79.
Yes, and he's basically retired from the Army now, but he was based at Fort Indiantown Gap, which is only a couple hours south of here. So he and I would meet up frequently to discuss plans for what we were going to do with the group, and at a pretty neat railroad establishment called Front Street Station in Northumberland, Pennsylvania. That was roughly halfway. It's probably a little bit closer for me than it was his, but we would just meet there and have dinner and, just. I'm
looking at a map. So where's Northumberland in relation to, I see Altoona. I see.
Yeah. Northumberland. If you follow, Interstate 180 to the east from Lambsport, it turns south. Northumberland is just a little bit southeast. Do you see where Interstate 180 crosses over Interstate 80?
Yeah.
If you go a little bit south of there, you should run into.
Oh yeah, I see it. Okay, and so Patrick was east of there when he was in the Army.
A little bit. I think he was south and east both. Yeah, he was to the southeast. Yep.
But anyways, you guys. So you met Patrick via the internet?
Yes, I did. I met him on Steve McCune's website.
Wow.
And, yep.
And in fact, are we not on the precipice of the golden age of model railroading?
I think we are. If you had asked me that question as recently as 5 years ago, I would have said no. There's hardly anybody doing it, but I no longer believe that after what I've experienced the last 5 years.
I know, and I want to thank you publicly for all your interaction with the podcast, because that's the kind of stuff that, gets me excited and want to keep doing the podcast, because, I hear the stories. I kind of remember, the first time you guys got together and you had a couple of guys, and each time you tell us about, the next meet you guys have had, and it's like the group is getting bigger and bigger and really adding a lot to your life.
Yes. Oh, definitely it is. Yep. I totally agree. And And I'm glad to hear you say that because, you're doing the same thing for a lot of people with this podcast. It just generates a lot of excitement, I think, when you see that, this hobby is just, I honestly now think it's growing, whereas before absolutely. I thought it was dying, but
it's absolutely growing. And I don't know why more people don't embrace that because, I was just listening today. It's long since been broadcast, but I was listening to the interview I did with Shane Wilson of Scale Trains at Springfield. And I mean, his sales have been up every year. Jim Scores, I don't think he's ever had a year where his sales went down. They've only gone up. And I mean, now, because, you can be, like I say, you're watching car crash videos and YouTube will go, well, maybe you'll like model trains. And it drags more and more people in. And the biggest thing is, of course, as you've heard me say 1,000 times, it's the fact that young people in their teenage years, remember when you were a teenager in a model railroader and I was, there was nobody around. But if all you'd had to do was go to the family computer and click a couple of buttons and you had, 100 guys to talk to, man, what a difference that would have been.
For sure. Yeah. And then we would have known it wasn't dying. The way we've been able to hook up and connect with other people has just, it's really, it's amazing when you step back and think about it a little bit. I just think of my situation where I started building a layout with the idea that I would be the only one who ever operated on it. And now I got guys from, in fact, we figured out a way to do, it's kind of rudimentary, but we've been doing like remote operations on my layout with guys out in Pittsburgh connecting, and they can run trains on my layout. We're still trying to figure out how to do it. We don't have it nearly as refined as like what Uncle Dave and his crew have, but we've been able to get it to work so they can use their phone to control multiple trains on my layout. So I just never dreamed that I would be involved in anything like that.
Yeah, imagine you have to keep your layout up and running and well maintained because you got guys from Pittsburgh and someday probably from all over the world operating it. So it gives it a whole new meaning of being down there and enjoying the hobby and making sure the layout runs the way it's supposed to. I found Oval on the map.
Oh, did you? Yeah. It's one of those places that if you don't want to blink when you're coming through or you'll miss it.
Well, there's a Dollar General.
There is a Dollar General. Yeah, that Dollar General is about 200 yards from where I'm sitting right now. Okay. Well, no, it's more than that. There's a general store that's about 200 yards. Dollar General is a couple miles from where I am.
The Oval County Country Store.
Yes, I live right out behind the Oval Country Store.
Oh, okay. On Wagner Road, Middle Road. Which road do you live on?
Yep, I'm on Wagner Road.
Okay. And so how big is your layout?
Right now, it's roughly 20 by 20. It's in a 20 by 20 foot room, but it's not done yet. It's only about half done. So,
and how long you been working on
it? Since about the middle of 2018, I would say. Yeah.
So only like 5 years.
Correct. Yes.
And it's half done already.
Yeah. Yep. And it's because of stuff like I used to tell the guys, every time you post a video, it inspires me to get off my chair and go work on my layout some more. So
that's the other thing, isn't it? Like, I mean, you've got people that seems like they live around the corner, but they could be from anywhere in the world, but it helps to keep you moving and keeps you motivated.
Absolutely. It does. Yes.
Fascinating. Yep. I forgot to tell you, well, you already knew that Bruce, the agitated mailboy's here, and Kelly's here too, but he's only here as an observer.
No, I got questions.
Don't expect to get a question from Kelly.
I got a question.
What exactly?
Yes. What exactly is?
Wow. Well, wait a minute. Wait till we just
stand by for breaking news. Kelly has a question. Kelly has a question.
Actually, if you read my message that came late, you would have realized what I said. So
I don't read any of your messages.
I know. Oh boy.
I'm sorry,
well,
Brad.
Do we have time for questions?
Yeah, we have no time.
No, we're all out of time. No time.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Brad. You had to have to put up with this.
It's okay. That's one of the things I enjoy about this podcast.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. I always go, "Oh, you enjoy that it's disorganized."
Yeah. Yes, I have far too much organization in my life. So.
It's art imitating life.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're imitating life. Yeah. Pretend we were organized.
Yeah.
It's kind of a fascinating part of Pennsylvania. We're going to hang on there, Kelly.
I know. I'm still here.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, you didn't leave? I can't buy a break. You're on the west. You're right near the west branch of the Susquehanna River.
Yep,
Wow.
I sure am.
Is there any railroading around there?
There is still, yeah. There's not nearly as much as there was 20 years ago, but the Norfolk Southern Buffalo line runs right along the river. There's a short line called the Lycoming Valley Railroad that runs on the opposite side of the river. If you go a little bit west of here to a place called Lock Haven, there's a short line railroad called the Nittany and Bald Eagle that interchanges with Norfolk Southern there. So yeah, there's still some left. When the Buffalo line, when I was a kid, was a pretty busy main line that went all the way from Harrisburg to Buffalo. Norfolk Southern shifted a lot of when they took over this. This was a former Conrail area. When Norfolk Southern took that over, they shifted a lot of that traffic over to Binghamton, and then it came down. They actually went way east to come back west. It's a longer trip, but they avoided a place called Keating Summit, which is like a 3% grade to the north and west of here. So we lost a lot of overhead traffic. But there were, back when in the 90s, there were like run-throughs from Canadian National, Canadian Pacific, and then, of course, all the Conrail traffic. So it was quite a bit busier then. But there's still railroading activity here, though. It's not completely dead.
And 30 years later, are you kicking yourself because you didn't take more photos?
I am. Yep, I am.
Aren't we all?
Yep.
There's a big yard in Williamsport, eh?
Pretty good size, Newberry Yard. Yeah, that was I believe that it was owned by. There were a lot of lines that met there, like the Pensy interchange there with the Reading and the New York Central, and I believe the Erie Lackawanna may have even come there back in the early 70s. So yeah, Newberry Yard's a pretty decent sized yard.
And for those who don't know, and I'm sure there's lots of people that don't know, Williamsport, which is not very far from where Brad is sitting right now, is the home of the Little League World Series.
Yes, it is.
Have you ever been? You must have been to that sometimes, eh?
Many times, yes. Yep.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, it's on ABC. It's a big deal, the Little League World Series.
Yep, it is. It is.
And teams from all over the world come to the World Series.
They sure do. Yeah, it's the population of Williamsport increases by quite a bit during those couple weeks at the end of summer.
So, do you mind? Are you retired? Are you working or?
I am a high school physics teacher. Yes.
Are you
at Jersey Shore High School? Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, I've been doing that for 30 years. This is my 30th year. So I was
really. That's cool.
Yeah. So my wife is a teacher at Jersey Shore too, and we're probably going to retire at the same time. We're looking at probably 2 or 3 more years. And when that happens, it's definitely on my list to make it up to Springfield when I retire. That's a tough time of the year now for me to get off work and have enough time to go up there. But I definitely want to make it to that show sometime.
How far is it? Would it be to Springfield from there? I guess about like a 6-hour drive or something, eh?
I believe it's like 6 or 7 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's cool. So you're a high school teacher.
I am. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I had a lot of experiences with high school.
I can only imagine. It's funny because we even have a few former students of mine who have joined the Iron City N-Scale group.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
It is. Yeah.
I don't think many of my teachers, except for Mr. Roach, I had a really cool grade 10 math teacher. He was a cool guy. He was the guy that got me through high school. And, but I don't think many of the other teachers would care if I was in their group or not. Especially Mr. Groom, my geography teacher. I tortured that poor guy to death.
If you were my student, I would want you in our group. I can guarantee you.
Yeah. Well, maybe today's Lionel. I'm not sure you'd want today's Lionel either.
I think so.
So, okay, let's see if we can't dissect. You had a question, Kelly. Sorry.
Yeah, I had a question. So the Iron City N-Scale is a group. Do they have an event where they all get together with layouts and stuff, or is it just basically everybody
It's a very loosely knit group of guys. The Iron City N Scale is basically just a kind of an online club Facebook group, I guess. But we're very informal. Like, we don't elect officers or collect dues or anything like that. We just kind of hang out on the site and help each other, post pictures of our layouts. We don't have we don't have Iron City specific events usually, but we do attend a lot of events out around the Pittsburgh area. Like I've mentioned in my emails before, the Locomotion weekends at the Carnegie Science Center. They do that right after Christmas every year, where they, try to get layouts set up in this science center. And I believe there were like 7,000 people that visited it this past January when we were there. So we do that event every year. The Greenberg group does model train shows in Monroeville, which is a suburb of Pittsburgh. We've had our T-track layout set up there 3 or 4 times now. And then the big one that we really enjoy doing is the Altoona N-Scale weekend, where last year we were actually in a huge T-track setup with, I think, 3 or 4 other groups from, I know one of them was from New Jersey, and I think another one was from somewhere out in the Midwest. So we had this huge T-track set up with, I think there were 7 of us from the Iron City group. And then with the other guys, there were probably over 20 guys. And I bet you we had close to 60 or 70 modules maybe in that, layout. So the Altoona, the biggest event that we always try to do every year is that Altoona N-Scale weekend.
So you have a layout in your house, and then you have a T-scale or square or whatever it is that you bring to events.
Exactly. There you go. Whatever it is, we need to need to decipher exactly what T-track is, so that someday I might understand it.
Okay. You want me to try to explain that now, you mean, or
no?
Okay. What would you like me to know?
Actually, I want to find out first. I think we should investigate more about the Iron City N-Scale guys, because you guys started from nothing just like 3 or 4 years ago, from like zero.
Yep.
You and that other fella.
The other fellow, yep. Yeah. He's the founder and our fearless leader. Pat, the other fellow Moore, is.
Okay.
Basically, the way that came about, I'm thinking back through the timeline now. Pat and I met in person for the first time in 2021 at one of these Greenberg shows. Okay, this was before any of us had T-track modules or anything. It was, in fact, this was just a few months after Pat started the Iron City website, and it wasn't even called Iron City back then. It was just called West Penn. And I bet you at that time we didn't probably have more than maybe 20 or 30 members. So Pat and I met the Saturday morning before the show started at a Denny's, I think it was, and had breakfast. And that's we kind of pregame for going to this show. At that point, he was very curious about T-track. I didn't have any interest in it at all.
And this was, where was this? The Greenberg show, you said?
This is the Greenberg show in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. Yes.
Okay. So I hope somebody took a picture of this momentous event.
That one we did not have any pictures of, because
this is the first time you and Pat met and you took no pictures.
No, we didn't.
You didn't take a selfie or nothing. You didn't go outside see, that would have been where I'd be. I'd be like, as we got outside the Denny's, I'd be like, hey, let's take a selfie.
Yeah. I didn't even think of it. We should have had you there to tell us this.
Yeah. Were you listening to the podcast by then?
Actually, Pat got me started in that too. Like a week before we met is when I listened to my first podcast.
Oh, okay.
And then I was listening to, when I drove from here out to that show, which is about a 3.5 hour drive, I listened to your podcast the whole way out, then the whole way back. And it was just a couple months after that I joined the Patreon channel. I think this would have been in July when Pat and I met. And then it was by like August or September, I decided to become a Patreon member.
And did you notice?
All in all, you found the podcast to be rather enjoyable.
I sure did. Yes, very enjoyable.
But did you notice when you were having that 3-hour drive to Monroeville, did you notice as you're going along and you're listening to the podcast the whole time, there was one voice that was kind of annoying and one person that was kind of annoying on it?
I didn't find it annoying. No. Are you talking about anyone in particular, or?
Yeah, me.
I'm trying to be very careful in how I answer some of these questions, just so you know. No, I don't find you to be annoying at all.
I do. I find sometimes I like listening to it, and I'll get on a splurge where I'm listening to 3 or 4, and then eventually I'll go, I can't listen to it for a couple of days, and then I realize it's because I'm annoying the crap out of myself.
So you're the type of guy who gets on your own nerves. Is that what you're saying?
I get on that's what I've discovered from the podcast is I can annoy the crap out of myself.
Okay.
As well as everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you guys, you said 2021.
Yeah. I believe, yep. That would have been July of, 2021. Yes.
So when this airs, basically we're just coming up to the 2-year anniversary of the you guys and your N-Scale Iron City N-Scale guys.
Yeah, really. I think officially the website first started late 2020, but like I said, from late 2020 up until July, up until that time period, we might have had maybe 30 members at most. I think it was after that it really, and I can describe for you why it started to take off after that, if you'd like to hear about that.
I would like to hear about it, but I think, what I think is when this podcast comes out, like I say, late May or early June, you guys should declare that that's the 2-year anniversary of the Iron City N-Scale guys, and somebody, for God's sakes, take a selfie.
Yes, I'll be sure to do that.
Yeah, okay. So, but I am interested because it's been kind of fun to follow along through your emails to the podcast about this, and it's kind of like the other day when we were doing Viewer Mail 101 or something like that. I thought, man, I got to talk to this guy because it's just like it typifies everything I say about social media and model railroading. I mean, it's like you guys are like a chia pet. It's like somebody poured water on you, and you just keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So anyway, that same day when Pat and I went over to the show, I met Steve McCune, who I had known for 3 years at this point, but had never met in person. He was there. But we also met future Iron City member. In fact, he may have already joined at that time, but Tom Catalano, who's one of our core, we got a core group of about 6-7 guys who have been, together basically since the beginning. So Tom was one of them. We met him in person for the first time at this Greenberg show. And this, by the way, was just Pat and I walking around the show. We didn't have a stand set up or layout set up or anything. We were just walking around looking to buy stuff or whatever. So we met Tom Catalano there. We met another one of our stalwart members named Richard Shirey, which from listening to the podcast, I would liken Richard Shirey a lot to Rich Wisniewski. Both will help anybody with anything and just so knowledgeable about so many different areas of both real railroading and model railroading. In fact, he works he's an electrician for Norfolk Southern out of Conway Yard in Pittsburgh. And he's just a great guy. When last year's 2022 July Greenberg show, he asked me to come out 2 days early. So I went to his house and ran trains on he's got a hollow core door layout that's only like, what are they, like 30 by 80 inches or something. But he and I operated that small layout for 2 hours. That's how incredible he has that thing set up. Yeah. It's a really, his model railroad's called the Long Valley Branch. And it's just a branch line that you can, you run the local down, and there's a few industries you have to switch and then run it back. So yeah, we met Richard for the first time at that show. I got to think. DJ, I think you guys have heard of DJ from DJ's Trains, haven't you? Are you familiar with? We met him in person for the first time at that show. And then we met Mike DeCenzi, who I know is a Patreon member and is still a little sore at me because I misspelled his name in an email. No, he's not. But we met Mike there, and it was really cool because Pat's kind of the idea guy of the group. He comes up with these really cool ideas that I know would have never thought of in a million years. And then, some of us other guys try to figure out the nuts and bolts of how we're going to make it happen. But just by chance, we met Mike at this show. In fact, he walked in. We were standing there talking to Richard, and Mike, who he had never met before, walked in with his Westview and Santa Fe small N scale layout, and our mouths just dropped because it's absolutely beautiful. In fact, he won the Walthers. I think he got third place in the Walthers National Build Off or whatever they call that, and that was. He had just won that recently, and he brought this layout to the show. But anyway, meeting him was what really started us down this T-Track route, because Pat didn't know too much about it, and I knew next to nothing. But Mike was like an expert, really, and he had been in T-Track for, I would say 4 or 5 years before then. So we got hooked up with him, and he helped us figure out the standards that you have to build to, how to wire, so that when you plug all the big thing is, anybody can wire up a T-Track module, but if you don't have it wired the same way everybody else's is, you have a big disaster when you go to try to connect them all together at a show. So the Altoona show, you say, is like a big N scale show? Yes, it's all N scale. So it's right. And you said Steve McEwen's from Texas? Yes. Steve, so it's big enough to draw guys from Texas all the way down. Well, this was still at Monroeville. This wasn't in Altoona. Oh. This was at the Greenberg show. Okay. But yes, the Altoona show is big enough to, and Steve's mother still lives in Pittsburgh. Okay. So he was visiting and blah, blah, blah. And Steve, we've mentioned his name enough. Does he have a website that we should go visit, or a Facebook page? It's called, he has changed it now to Union Railroad N Scale on Facebook. Yes. Yeah, if you want to see somebody who's skilled at fitting a lot of railroading into a small space, it's pretty amazing what he does. So what is it? Union Railroad N Scale. Okay, this is the most exciting part of the podcast where I'm typing. Mm-hmm. This would be a good time. Kelly, what's this a good time for?
Rapido trains.
Have you ever listened to the podcast?
I'm trying to. Never mind. Yeah, I know. Elevator music. I'm sorry. No, I was actually looking for, was it Richard Shirley? If he had a layout or a plan. Shirey. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry.
And why are you looking?
Well, because he mentioned about the fact that it was on a hollow core door, and I wanted to and spent 2 hours on the layout. I'm going I'd like to see what it looked like.
That's pretty cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, it is. I don't know if he has a plan posted of it somewhere or not.
Plus, he does Reading.
He did well. That's the neat thing about his layout, Kelly. He actually switches to. He has like 8 or 9 different railroads. So he made it so that it's kind of like this generic short line that could literally be anywhere in the United States. So he runs. Sometimes he runs Penn Central on there. Sometimes he runs Rock Island. Oh my gosh, Reading I know is on there a lot. Southern even he runs the Southern Railroad.
I just found a group picture from the N Scale weekend.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Taken on the escalator, you mean?
Yes. Yeah. The escalators.
Where did you find that?
It's on. Well, I got it on Richard's website from September 21st.
Richard who?
Shirey.
Well, what now? Did he have a website or a Facebook page?
Facebook page, I meant. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Is his a private group, or can you just see it?
I can see it.
Okay.
We would be. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. You're going to be trouble, aren't you, Brad?
Probably. That's what everybody always tells me I am. So,
it's going to be at least a 2-parter, I think.
I went to Steve McEwen's, and he has questions again. Where is the Union Railroad Classification Yard located? That Steve,
I just cut and pasted the description and whacked it in there. See what happens.
You cut and pasted what?
The description of the layout.
Where did you get the description of the layout?
Right at the top of his page, where he tells you what his layout's all about.
Oh, okay. And you just cut and paste it. Well, I'm not
cut and paste that, threw it in there.
Those questions are too hard for me.
They're hard.
It's the Duquesne classification yard, I think.
Oh, never mind. If he doesn't want me to be part of the
screen. He doesn't want you.
Exactly. Okay. What's Steve DeCenzi's? What'd you say? Is that his name?
It's Mike DeCenzi. Yeah.
What was the name of that other fella?
I believe his name's Patrick Moore, but I refer to him so often as the other fellow now. I've almost forgotten his real name.
I just came up with a great nickname for him.
Okay.
Because he's not in the Army anymore, he's kind of independent.
Yes.
So if you add I to the end of TOF, you got Toffee.
That's great. I'll as soon as we're done here, I'll text him and let him know that.
I declare from this point forward, on the second anniversary of the Iron Scale and what is it called?
Iron City End Scale.
Iron City End Scale, guys. I declare of this moment that Patrick Moore forever shall be known as Toffee.
Now, I was just thinking though, should I tell him that or should I make him wait and hear it on the podcast?
I think we should make him wait and let it be a surprise.
Okay, that works for me.
And from this moment on, at the 48-minute mark of the podcast, and the episode featuring Brad Williamson, a physics teacher in Jersey Shore, Pennsylvania, from this point forward, your nickname shall be Toffee.
Toffee. Yeah. You realize my head might explode between now and whenever this airs to try to hold this in and not tell him, but I will.
Nobody said it would be easy.
Yeah, being on the podcast is not easy. I mean, you got to deal with Kelly, for crying out loud.
I know. Plano, Texas. Wow, cool.
Do you have any Rapido trains on your layout?
I do, yes.
Attaboy.
I do. Love them. I love them.
Yeah, you love Rapido trains?
I sure do.
Fast track the model roading fun. Oh, man. It's a drag when the guest doesn't.
I know the guest keeps wanting to talk. Yeah. We're more used to Kelly where he just.
I just blurt it out, and then
he's more of
no, not now.
He's strictly an observer.
Should I mute myself for a while?
No.
All right.
If you've listened,
all the works go into this podcast.
That's right.
Okay.
And if
we're not afraid of anything.
That's right. If you've ever listened to the podcast, see now the other day I got a message from Kelly telling me, or not Kelly, from Rich Winiski, the Wiz. I got a message from Rich the other day saying he enjoyed it when it was just me and the mayor of Hornpain talking, George Taylor, and I agree with him. It's fun when it's just two people talking, but without the interaction of these other guys, I find it to be more entertaining this way myself. So
yeah, this is nice. I think you get a variety of questions. And,
one. We got one from Kelly. We didn't get a variety from him. We got one.
Well, it's better than none.
I was more talking about you when I said variety.
Okay. So I'm going to look for Mike's Facebook page now. What's his Facebook page called?
Mike DeCenzi's. I believe it's his layout is called the West Penn and Santa Fe, and I think he has a web page for that. If I'm not mistaken.
You did know you were going to be on the podcast, right?
Yeah, I did.
Like I didn't just call you up like 5 minutes before and say it's showtime.
No, I didn't know. I didn't know I was supposed to take a bunch of notes though. So
Wait till you hear the latest fans. By now, you've heard the latest fans several weeks ago, where our buddy Scott, the table master lister, has discovered that taking notes is very exciting.
Okay, that'll be something to look forward to for sure.
It's changed his life. Taking notes has changed his life. He's gonna have notebooks with the Greenville and Northern emblem on the front of it and everything. He's just he's a new man. Because he's taking notes. All right, I'm trying one more time. So, Kelly, you found his Facebook page?
Which one now?
Mike DeCenzi.
Is he the one from Plano, Texas?
No, that's Steve.
That's where I'm at right now. I've moved from one to the other. Now you're on to a new one. Oh, God.
No, we're not on to a new one. We're on to the one you already looked at. That's on the table, the hollow core door.
Oh, okay. Now,
where did you see the picture of everybody standing on the escalator?
That's on Richard
Shirey.
Shirey.
How did you ever get to him? Oh my goodness gracious! All right, let's go back to learning.
Well, I looked up what was it, the Long Valley branch.
Yeah,
right.
We're running out of time already. Let's get back to the this whole T-Track thing. So, how many guys do you think you have in your? How many guys do you think you have in your group now? Like the latest time you went out to, I think it's Monroeville. Is where is it in Pittsburgh? It's the Science Center or something.
That's in downtown Pittsburgh, the Carnegie Science Center.
Right,
that's right.
And it's some big train show they have every year.
Correct.
And the last time you went, you said you had like 10 or 12 guys or something.
We did, yeah. It was 10 exactly, which is the most we've ever had. Let me think now. That would have been trying to remember the crew that we always have, which would be myself, Pat, the other fellow, Mike DeCenzi, Jim Hoffer, Tom Catalano, Kevin Squire. They were all there, and then we got another guy named Fran Resch, who I believe talked to Scott Lister at the train show. Springfield. Yeah. Fran lives right near Springfield, and he's part of the Iron City too. But he was with us, and he built a really cool mining module.
So he came all the way from Springfield, Massachusetts, to be part of this show in Pittsburgh.
Yep, he did. He sure did.
It just shows you how much in 2 years, how much of a friendships you've built, and how important it is for people to meet you and be with each other, eh?
Yes, I agree with you. It sure is. We have a guy, a member also named Charles Rockwell, who I think I know I see him post on Don Iris's. He lives in Florida, and he had a shed layout similar to what
Don did.
Does.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's all the way down in Florida, and he's connected with us too. I think Chuck said he wants to come to Altoona, to the Altoona show this September. He was also in Springfield this past year.
Okay, when you just you just mentioned something about the other fella. Were you speaking of Toffee?
I don't. What was I saying about the other fella? I don't remember. Yeah, I probably was talking about Toffee. There
we go. By the end of the show, we'll have her down now.
Yeah. I got to reprogram my neurons.
Yeah, but that's a cool nickname.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, he's the other fella, and he's now independent. He's not in the Army anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He's Toffee.
I like it.
And he kind of sticks to you.
Yeah. Oh, he does do that.
There
you go.
Yep. We got all the bases covered.
We sure do. Yeah.
All right. Try to explain to me. I do not understand T-Track at all, and I don't know why. Okay. But our buddy Stacy Boyd, the official flight attendant of the AML network, she's always working on her T-Track. And she's always sending me pictures and talking to me about T-Track, and I try to act like I know what she's talking about. And I still don't. Is it just these little tiny 1 foot by 1 foot squares?
You can make them that small if you want to, which the standard size, or a single size module, they call them. There's singles, doubles, triples, and quads. A single size is roughly 1 foot by 1 foot. A double would be 2 feet by roughly 1 foot deep. And a quad is like 4 feet long. And but I think to me the biggest thing about T-Track is it enables somebody who maybe doesn't have the room or the tools or the skills to put like an N-Track module together, which is bigger and has its own legs and everything. It freestands on its own, or maybe doesn't have a vehicle that's big enough to transport something that large. You could make a couple little T-Track modules and haul them in a subcompact hatchback car, and they don't need to have legs of their own, because you just have to make sure that there's folding tables at the event you're going to. So you just set these up on folding tables, and then to connect them together doesn't even require that you bolt them together, because you use Kato Unitrack, which has unijoiners on that just snap together, and they hold really well. So that's what holds the modules together. You just line the track up and snap those unijoiners in, and you've got it locked in place. So it's a neat way for, a lot of those guys that are in the Iron City don't even have home layouts, because when you live near a big city, housing, of course, isn't as affordable as it is out here in the middle of nowhere where I am. So a lot of those guys don't have rooms in their homes for a big, a large size layout. And it's just a neat way that we can all get together and, have a layout to run our trains on.
And isn't there a guy that sells these modules, these T-Track modules? Isn't there somebody that sells them?
There's several sellers. Yeah. Now they've run into problems since the war in Ukraine started. There's something about the plywood that they like to use. I don't remember what the plywood is called, but it doesn't warp, which is really nice to have. And they've had trouble. Well, I think everybody's had supply issues, the last few years, but some of the people that make them have had to stop making them temporarily. I hope temporarily, because they can't, they don't have access to this plywood, or at least if they do have access to it, it just makes it prohibitively expensive. But there are several places that manufacture them. There's a place called Masterpiece Modules that makes them. There's a company here in Western Pennsylvania called CMR Products, who has a line of T-Track modules. I don't know if they're currently selling them, but one of our Iron City N Scale members, named Doug Rakowski, makes T-Track module kits that, in fact, he's made several of them for our members. In fact, I have 2 of Doug's modules that I have built. So there are places where you can get them. And that's really the other nice thing about it. You really don't have to buy a kit. A T-Track module is pretty simple to build. You could build one out of scrap plywood. In fact, Kevin Squire, one of our members, builds.
How many members you got? I mean, every time you say it is one of our members, it sounds like. I know. How many thousands of members do you have?
There's about 300 members of the Facebook, the Iron City N Scale Facebook page. In fact, I think it's, as of today, like 309. There's a group of probably
310.
Is it 310? Okay. Yep. We may have just picked someone up.
Did you just join, Kelly?
No, I've been on a while.
You guys both have been on for quite a while, haven't you, Bruce?
I think I've been on.
I've been around for a bit, yes.
Since Tomstock, I think.
Yeah. So
I've been on since this afternoon.
Well, then you're number 310. There we go.
Are there any prizes for that?
Yeah.
I'll have to talk to Toffee about that. Maybe
there. Now you're getting there. Now you're getting there. Yeah. It won't take long for that to stick. Oh, boy. You guys ought to be paying me.
We should.
Yeah.
That's right, folks. He's here twice a week.
Try the veal.
But that's kind of, I guess, the purpose of T-Track, Lionel. It enables you to make small, lightweight, easy to transport modules that are easy to hook together. And does that make sense?
Yeah, and I do most, because I'm looking at like T-Track on Woodland Scenics, and they're all like this 1 foot square thing, and I'm thinking, well, wouldn't it, isn't that going to be? You're going to end up like it's 9 3/4. What is the size of it? 12 3/8, or what are the sizes of these? They're all 12 inches wide, right? Is it 12 by 12 by 12 kind of thing, or
the width of it? It's kind of hard to explain without a picture, but the width of them is roughly 12 inches wide. The depth isn't really important. You could build the depth back if you want more room for scenery, because the important thing is to have the right width so that it's a given length of Kato track that has to fit on a single module.
Okay.
It's actually metric, because it's 308 millimeters, I believe, which is pretty close to a little over 12 inches.
It's a foot. Yeah.
Yeah.
1 foot is 308.4 millimeters. So you're a foot.
So I found the CMR product store.
Yeah. Okay.
And go ahead.
The 1 foot seems to be everybody's doing it now. Is anybody doing the larger ones? I looked around and you can do larger ones. So why is everybody fixated on 1 foot?
That's what I'm stuck on. Like, why is everybody fixated on this 1 foot square kind of thing?
Yeah, I'm not. I can tell you, I have a total now of 5 modules. One of them is 4 feet long. And the other 4 are all 2 feet long by 2 feet deep. So yeah, you can build bigger sizes, but I
So they're 2 feet deep. They are.
They can be. There's the depth. The depth, it varies a lot. There's a lot of different depths you can make them, because as long as it fits together lengthwise where the track snaps in, that's the critical part.
Okay.
How deep? Yeah, the track interface is the key thing. Otherwise, you just do what you want, right?
Pretty much, yeah. You can. The only thing you have to be careful of is, because if you want to make a loop of them and have track running, have modules behind the first course of modules.
Right. Yeah.
If you get too deep, then the track, they won't fit behind. But there are ways around that too. So yeah, there's a lot of different depths you could make. I built yard modules, Lionel, because at one of the shows we did, we were discovering that, if somebody else wanted to run a train, if you got a 15 car train on there, you got to pull the engines and all 15 cars off, and then they have to set their train on. So I thought it'd be cool to have a yard so we could just pull the train into the yard and kill the power to that track and let it sit there while another train goes out. So I built a yard on the yard is actually a total of 8 feet long. It's on 3 modules. 2 of them are 2 feet wide. 1 of them's 4 feet. So it's a total of an 8 foot long yard that we use.
Okay.
But
so for the listeners, if you're interested in this, it's T-Track. It's ntrak.org for the information.
Why are you being so helpful, Kelly? What's the trick?
I didn't have any questions, so I figured I'd be helpful.
Yeah, if you go to ntrak.org, and you know why it says .org, eh? Would you like to take this one, Brad?
No, I'll let you answer that because I don't know. Sorry.
Almost.
Yeah, it's because they're organized.
Oh, okay. All right. You're not making that up, are you?
No,
not at all. No.
All right. It just might not be accurate, though. It's transparent, but it's not accurate.
No, it's accurate as well.
Okay.
That's because we have nothing to do with it.
So I'm still confused.
Okay.
So let's say lengthwise, the way the track runs.
Yep.
East to west.
Mm-hmm.
So how long is a piece of this Cato unit track?
It comes in different lengths. The longest, I think, is like 248 millimeters. And then what you do is you stick a piece that is 64, I believe. So you get like 312 millimeters. So it has to overhang a little bit the end of the module. You follow? So if the module's like 308, you have 2 extra millimeters or 1 extra millimeter, depending, it all varies a little bit. But you have to have a little bit of overhang so that you can snap the track together. But you don't want too much overhang so that you got a big gap in your scenery.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That makes no sense. If every module has overhang, then there's going to be a gap between every module.
There is, yeah. There's a slight gap in each one.
Is there?
Yeah, a little one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wonder why they
there are ways that you can cover that up, like with ground foam and stuff, to try to hide it as best you can. But
so it's a very small. So is there? So on this ntrack.org, there is actually T-Track standards.
Yes,
and there's a page there for introduction, terminology, blah blah blah.
There's actually a manual.
Yeah. I guess it's a manual. Really, is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah. If you're interested too, if you want to see some of our specific modules, you can just do a website for T-Track Wiki. There's a Wikipedia thing. It's just T and then TRAK Wiki. If you do a Google search for that, it'll take you to the T-Track Wikipedia site.
Okay, and your pictures of your.
And then do you see clubs up at the top and blue? And there's a blue bar.
Let's not get too fast here, Brad.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Slow down, Brad.
All right, putting on the brakes.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so then in the menu bar, I see layouts.
Do you see clubs just to the left of layouts?
Yeah, clubs. Yeah.
Click on clubs.
Click on clubs. I clicked on clubs. Then I got to select North America.
I would scroll down.
Just scroll down, yeah.
So you see Pennsylvania.
Well, it's a pretty small map, so you have to. I see. You scroll down to see Pennsylvania Okay, so what everybody's looking at is first there's a little map of the world, and which, by the way, is coincidence because the sun never sets on the AML network.
I've heard that.
True.
Yeah, and then there's a bigger map and then you go below that, and there you go. Listed first is in Canada, Ontario. There you go.
Cool.
And then you keep scrolling down to Pennsylvania.
And you should see Iron City N-scale modelers under Pennsylvania.
There it is, yeah. Okay, so you have your own little, on this particular thing, you guys have your own little page.
Yep, we do.
You guys should start a website or something.
That's a good idea. I'll tell Toffee that too.
Yeah, tell Toffee to start
We should start like a Facebook page called Iron City N-scale or something, right?
Well, you already got that. Don't get smart.
Oh, sorry, Overlord. That's your job, right?
I'm also sitting beside the power switch.
Okay, all right. I'll keep that in mind.
Although I think that's the first time I ever said to a high school teacher, "Don't get smart."
That's all right.
Yeah, I know where I'm headed.
Do you
the principal's office, Strang?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, out. Did you see the picture of us? It looks like we're in a library.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. If you scroll down from that, there's pictures down below. That's my yard module, right underneath where it says unclub train.
Okay.
So that, and if you look, do you see that golden train that has those micro trains? Just ahead of the locomotive on that train, you can see where the two modules are coming together. Do you see how that is
right,
there?
Yeah. Okay, so it's a very tiny gap.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
Yep.
And so, but if there's no guidelines as to how, like I'm thinking when I say length, I mean the way the track runs, right? So they're either a foot long, 2 feet long,
right,
4 feet long. So then if there's no guidelines to the width, wouldn't it look kind of messy? Like there's one that's, a foot wide and one that's 16 inches wide, another one that's 2 feet wide. Doesn't it look kind of like...
Yeah, we do. Yes. Technically you can build one deeper, but we try to stick to a standard depth so that we don't get all that.
Yes. The standard is 14 inches.
Yeah, that's the suggested standard is 14 inches deep, but they do have double deeps and stuff. But Kevin Squire, who I mentioned before, he kind of takes it upon himself to coordinate and draw up a track plan for how we're going to assemble the modules, and he tries to get it so that we don't have that effect like you described, where you have a wide module, then all of a sudden you go to a real narrow one, and it would look bad. But the thing I like about Kevin is he's very good at organizing it, because you got modules from 10 different people building what they want to build, and you guys mentioned about how it looks like a patchwork quilt kind of thing sometimes. Kevin is really good he has a good eye for saying, Brad's module would look real good next to Toffee's module, and he does set it up so it looks more like a coherent layout. And
so you don't have a desert then a snow scene.
Right. Right. Yep.
And
yeah.
Do you have some sort of standards for, like, have you guys ever gotten together, just you guys, and put your modules together?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's that's pretty much what it is at most of the events we go to. It's just 6, 7, at most 10 guys, just Iron City guys getting together. Now, Altoon is the exception to that because we were with a bunch of other.
Right. Make a giant layout with a whole bunch of other clubs.
Right.
But when you go to this thing in Pittsburgh at the Carnegie Science Center, is that what you called it?
That's right.
See, this is where I'd be listening to it and I'd start to annoy myself, because I'd be saying to myself, I can see myself on my way to Florida. I'm listening to this episode. I'm halfway through Virginia, and I'm thinking, he's told you 4 times it's called the Carnegie Science Center. Why can't you get this? And then I'll turn myself off.
It is a lot of syllables. I don't know.
Well, that's true. We have noted before Lionel doesn't like multiple syllable
That's
words.
right, exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, notice toffee is 2 syllables. Toff and E. Toffee.
Yep. So the whole idea of T-Track is to be able to set it on a standard folding table.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
Oh, really? So where did you see? Where did you get that?
It's under I got it off the standards and recommend practice of T-Track.
Oh, okay. So the whole idea, okay, because N scale you can. All right.
So that's why the 14 inches, so that they can be back to back or whatever.
Right.
Well, see, now it's all starting to make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it has to be the Cato track, correct? Is that my impression?
It's definitely best to use Cato track, yeah, and all of us do, because it depends heavily on that unijoiner, they call them. Cato makes a really, really sturdy rail joiner, and that's when you snap those track ends together, those two modules are pretty well locked together. I mean, they won't just, like, even if you bump them, they'll stay connected with those unijoiners.
Okay, so basically, you don't use a crossover track like the HO or the N gauge would do from module to module.
That's correct. Yep. You just have to make sure it overhangs the end a little bit so that the two ends will snap together.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had a question. Don't tell me what it was. You guys should have your own website.
Yeah, really.
You guys should. I mean, there's easy ways to do it. Like if you did it on Weebly or there's a Square. There's what's the other one? Wix or something like that. I mean, man, you guys have got a lot to add. You guys have got a lot to add to this hobby, and you should make it. The Facebook page is great. I mean, you've obviously created a real society with your Facebook page, and I mean, hats off to you guys, because in 2 short years, you've brought a lot of people together.
Well, thank you. I
mean, it just makes, honestly, this is an editorial, I guess. I mean, it just makes me smile or giggle to myself when the mention of how are we going to make this hobby grow. I mean, you guys are a walk and talk an example of exactly what I've been talking about for the last 8 years. I mean, in 2 years, you guys have gone from 2 of you or 3 of you to this group now that's meeting and getting together, and guys are driving great distances just to be together to enjoy the fellowship and everything.
Yeah, it blows my mind, like I mentioned before, just to think about it, I feel very fortunate, and when you just stop to think about it, like, some of these guys are some of the best friends I have in the entire world right now. And how likely would it have been that I never even would have met them?
Well, exactly.
If it wasn't for model railroading coupled with the internet, we would have probably never crossed paths ever.
I know people don't realize we are on the precipice. We are on the edge. We are about to experience something in this hobby that we've never experienced in the past 80 plus years that this hobby has really been in existence. Is we are on the verge of this crazy fellowship coming together that has never happened in the hobby before. Because you take a perfect example. Okay, we met once briefly, but if I was coming through Jersey Shore and I sent you a text, I said, hey Brad, I'm coming through Jersey Shore around 3:00. You want to get together and have a bite to eat? You'd be like, yeah, sure. And we'd have no problem sitting down, talking and having a great time together, because we've been able to make all this connection.
Yep, it really is awesome
it changes your whole life. It changes your whole life.
Well, and that's the purpose of a hobby too. It's to improve the quality of your life. And I can say 100% that model railroading, especially over the last 5 years, has greatly improved the quality of my life. And these guys that I met are just they're almost like family. In fact, they are like family to me.
I'm looking at this picture there's like 6 of you, and you're all here holding an Iron City beer.
Yep.
Like, I mean, seriously, you could probably find better guys than these.
I couldn't. They're just my speed.
I'm kidding.
I know. That's all right.
It looks like
part of the fun too.
Yeah, it's so much fun to see you guys. It's so much fun, and it's heartwarming to see you guys together like this, and to see the fact that you guys have found each other. It's literally heartwarming.
There's kind of an interesting story behind that picture too, if you want me to tell that.
No, I don't think so.
All right. Will that be the next part of the trilogy then?
Yeah.
Okay.
You seem to be more like I don't think you're a trilogy guy. You're more like a guy that we're going to be checking in with on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Well, I would love that.
Yeah. Who's the guy? In this picture? Who's the guy that's standing to your right? Can you see that picture?
Yeah, that's Kevin Squire.
Yeah, he looks like trouble.
Oh yeah. So, yep.
You
You mentioned before, because this is the picture that's on those award cars, the golden award cars that we got from. You mentioned before that the guy in the lower right was the one that you have to watch out for, and boy, were you right. His name's Jim Hoffer, and you just I'm telling you, trouble with a capital T.
All right, what is it you wanted to tell me about? No, you wanted to tell me
that picture was taken in the summer of July 2022. We had applied for space again at Greenberg. We had already been to Greenberg a couple times, and we were denied space at the Greenberg show because they had too many vendors and just didn't have enough room, for us to set up our layout. So Mike DeSenzi, who is the guy on the left of that picture standing, works at this. It's a community center in Westview, which is a suburb to the north of Pittsburgh. It's called the Westview Hub, and they have this library space. And he said, "Hey, you guys all have plans to come out here and stay anyway. Let's set our layout up at the hub." So we set up completely independent of the Greenberg show. It was the same weekend as the Greenberg show, and we probably had, I don't know, I mean, it was just an impromptu thing, but I bet you we had 60 or 70 people over, the time we were there come in and look at our layout.
That's cool. That's cool.
It is.
Yeah.
That is really cool. And I noticed, your modules seem very well done. I was looking at Jim Hoffman's there, and his are really well done. And and they all seem to be like, do you guys have some sort of, I don't like to use the word standard, but you want the scenery to be as good as it can to make the whole thing look good. I mean, do you guys have some sort of a standard, or?
We don't. We're just really fortunate, and the guys that we have are really, really good at detailing scenes. That didn't come about by any standard or anything. These guys, I'm going to brag up on my buddies now, are just literally that good. Jim Hoffer, the guy on the lower right, and Mike DeSenzi were into T-Track long before they ever met us, so they already had a bunch of modules that we can use. And I'm still amazed at those guys. And then the other ones too, like Kevin and Tom Catalano. Those guys can take that small area. And I think this might be another advantage of T-Track, because you just focus on a small, 14-inch deep by maybe 2 foot or 1 foot wide. And you can just put details in there, because you don't have a huge, big area that you have to cover with scenery. And it really amazes me what these guys are able to come up with in a pretty short amount of time. I mean, you've got like a super detailed, almost museum quality section of a layout, a module. And
because when you think about it, you're really building dioramas.
Right.
It is. Yeah, that's true. And, my focus on my layout, it's a bigger around the room layout. So I want to try to get track down, get trains running, get some scenery roughed in. And then once I have that laid out, I'll go back and do the super detailing. These guys get it from start to finish in a couple weeks, and they just have a beautiful scene created. Kevin, Pat, Jim, Mike, all of those guys they just amaze me at what they're able to accomplish in a short amount of time, on their modules. And I think Kevin's an IT guy. He's the one who actually set up this website. I think it has pictures of everybody's modules. If you look under that main picture where we're holding the beers, where it says ICNS members, you can click on an individual member and see some of the modules so
let's make sure everybody understands what it is we're talking about. So if they want to look at it, because it's actually a pretty good site. So I don't understand what is Wiki, Bruce?
I have no idea, but it's some sort of cooperative information sharing thing that you may or may not get the truth from, depending on who's rating it.
Okay,
it's like Wikipedia,
but but it's not.
I know it's not. No.
Well, I know, so it's not. I'm just looking for an explanation. So, anyways, if you go to T-Track Wiki, if you put in T-Track Wiki in Google, you're going to get to this site called T-Track Wiki, and then if you go to on the menu bar, if you go to clubs, you click on clubs. And then you scroll down past the maps, and there's a list of, provinces of Canada and all the states in the lower, all of the states. And because there's even, there's none in Alaska, but give it time, there will be. You scroll down to Pennsylvania, and then you click on Iron City N Scale Group. And you guys got a really intense page here of all your activities.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I hope I'll try to put that link in. Wish me luck.
Yeah,
I'll try to put that link in.
Oh, well, thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah, well, don't get too excited. I said I'd try. Have you ever followed the podcast at all?
I have.
Yeah. We're not dealing with trust me. I would have been the kid at the back of your physics class with the blank stare.
This is like another rabbit hole for me. Man. Yeah. I'm just.
You don't have time for rabbit holes. You got a layout to build.
I'm working on the layout, but now I've got these big boxes filled with all the Engage stuff that I bought.
Why'd you buy Engage stuff?
Well, there you go. There you go, Kelly.
For microtrains.
Yeah, but why did you buy it? You're not building
because I made some of them.
Build yourself a module, and you can join us sometime. That would be cool.
Well, I own a driving school, but I don't go down to the test center every week to get another license.
Here's something I'm just throwing out for fun. Why don't Tomstock 2024?
Yeah,
can we get space and set up some T-track modules there?
Yeah.
Why don't you guys bring your whole setup? Like yeah, come to Tomstock and bring your setup, and we'll set it up some. We'll figure out a place to set it up.
Maybe I'll build a module.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that in an earlier podcast. That some of the guys heard, and they're all gung ho to do it. Yeah,
you know where we'll do it is you're okay. Now you're in charge. You know what? Let's put Toffee in charge of remembering to rent the. All these Hampton Inns always have a conference room.
Okay.
So we'll put Toffee in charge of reminding me to rent the conference room at the Hampton Inn, and that's where you guys can set up your modules.
Okay. You want Toffee to do that, or do you want me to do that?
Okay, you can do it. I don't care who does it. Somebody remind me.
As long as somebody does it, that's the key factor.
One of you will be the backup.
So we want the conference center at the Hampton Inn.
Or the conference room.
Okay.
That's where we had our pizza party at Springfield, which was a roaring success.
And we did the scanning at.
Oh, that's right. We did scanning in the conference room at Tomstock, didn't we?
Tomstock, yeah.
Yeah, they have a perfect room for you guys to set up your modules. We'll rent that room.
Okay. All right.
And you guys can have your things set up for the whole duration of Tomstock.
Okay. Yeah, I will pass that along. I'm sure. I know. Like
if you want to.
Oh, we do. Mike Desenzi is I'm pretty sure became a Patreon member recently because
I think he did. I did see his name go by. Yes. Yeah. That's right.
So I know he wants to do it, and I know Pat, the other fellow, Toffee, wants to do it.
Toffee, yeah.
And I doubt we'll have too much trouble talking the other guys into it either.
Well, yeah, don't twist any arms. It's an open. Let's put it this way: it's an open invitation if you guys choose to do it. How about
Cool. Yeah, that sounds great.
Can we do a challenge too? But
No.
Okay. I was going to say.
Well, no. You want to be in charge of it? You can, if you want to be in charge of it.
It's just a question. It's just a question if somebody wants to build a T-track, a little module, to bring it with him.
Okay. Well, let's ask Brad if he wants to pass that to his guys and see if they
want to do it or not.
So if somebody brought their own T-track module, would you allow them to put it in with yours?
Oh heavens, yes. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, as many people as. Well, I mean, I'm sure we're going to be limited by the size of the room.
It's a big room. Trust me.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a big room.
Yep. As long as it's wired correctly, you have to
use the standard, right?
Yep. Just use the standard wiring for the wire hookups and
blue to the outside.
Yep. That's right. Yep. Yeah. As long as they have that, we can. And the nice thing about it is you can either run it on DC or DCC, and you just plug it into the. Well, we made our own bus wire for it now, so it's really easy to set up.
So what do you do normally, DCC or DC?
Both. There's two lines. There's an inside track and an outside, and you can as long as you have to be sure to keep the two isolated from each other.
Definitely.
Or it fries something. But if you want to get an idea, Kelly. Are you on that site that has the picture of us with our Iron City camp?
I finally got to it.
Okay. If you go down beneath where it says Unclub Events, look at 2023-01 Locomotion Weekend. If you click on that link.
Unclub. Okay, yep.
if you click on that link, you should be able to get to our track plan. That was the track plan that Kevin put together for the.
That's why I was saying I want to put this. Try to put this link in the on the page somewhere, because it's cool how you guys have got all your track plans. I mean, this latest one, this Locomotion Weekend at the PGH Science Center, at Pittsburgh. Well, where's Carnegie in PGH?
It's in downtown Pittsburgh. It's called the Carnegie Science Center, named after Andrew Carnegie, the steel
guy. It says PGH, so that stands for Pittsburgh.
It's in Pittsburgh. It's not. There is a town named Carnegie, but it's not. That's not where this is. The Carnegie Science.
Yeah, I know where Carnegie is, because that's where Jim Sacco lived.
Yeah.
He was Batman,
Yeah,
I've heard.
I think he still is.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we got a little bit of time left. Tell us about your home layout. Is there anywhere on the internet to see your home layout?
Yep. If you go to, I don't have a web page for it specifically, but I have a Facebook page. If you go to PRR North Penn,
PRR.
There's a bunch of pictures there.
North Penn.
Kelly's working on it. What's PRR North Penn?
Pennsylvania Railroad.
Pennsylvania Railroad.
I wasn't asking you. I'm asking.
Sorry.
I'm asking the guest.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm just going to.
My layout is like an extension of the Pennsylvania Railroad into modern times. So I have to paint PRR paint jobs on.
That didn't work because I ended up on a motorcycle site.
Really?
Which may be of interest to you, but
yeah. PRR Penn.
PRR North Penn.
Oh, yeah. North Penn. Oh, yeah. I had a north in there. Oh, okay. You know what it's time for now, don't you, Kelly?
Elevator music.
There you go. Attaboy.
Attaboy.
But Rapido trains came to mind first.
Well, that's not what it's time for. But
I know.
I'm sure everybody out there enjoys their Rapido trains.
Because they're your fast track to model railroading fun.
All right, there I got it. All right, I got it.
Ooh, nice.
Thank you.
All right, cool. So do you have a track plan anywhere?
No, I don't. So, because it's not, I don't need, it's only about, like I said, my track is only about half finished. So once I have it done, I'll have a track plan up, but no, I don't believe I do have one posted anyplace.
What kind of track are you using?
It's all Kato Unitrack.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Is that pretty popular in N scale, or?
It's becoming pretty popular. I like it. Yeah. There, some of the, purists don't like it because you do have to work at it a little bit to make it look, less plastic and more. But the part I like about it is the rail joiners are by far the best rail joiners I have ever seen. You don't even have to solder them. And, that track that you're seeing there on my main picture, that was the first section of this that I built. That's been running since 2018. I snapped those tracks together once, ran probably in that area 6 different track drops, and I have never had a conductivity or connectivity problem once with it. It is just the most bulletproof N scale track I've ever seen. So,
and that's huge for N scale because the better it runs, the more enjoyable it is.
Absolutely. Yep.
So I'm looking at a video that's a 4-train meet at Bennettsburg.
Yeah, Bennettsburg is a fictional town that I.
So you must have some sort of a continuous loop going now, do you?
I do. Yeah, I have like balloon loops at each end so that they run it's a 4-track main line, as you can see. And when it gets to the end, it loops around. It's like, say we have an eastbound coming into the balloon track. It loops around that, and then it'll head back on the westbound mains.
And is the balloon track 4 tracks as well?
No, the balloon track is 2 tracks because it takes you from the 2 eastbound mains to the 2 west. You know what I mean?
Now, how did you manage to get these 4 trains running at once? If you got to stop, like, are you the only guy at running the layout at this point? At
that point, I was. Yeah, I'm just that good. No, I've had cornfield meets and stuff when I've tried to do, but with
sure. It's just now. Do you have enough freight cars?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've been collecting since like the mid 80s. So yeah, I have a bunch of stuff. In fact, there's the big plastic totes from Lowe's underneath the layout. I have probably 6 or 7 of those filled with extra rolling stock. So, yep.
Is that an R.J. Corman train there, the red one? No.
That's
West
that's Pat's layout, or that's Pat's fictional line that he models. But the paint job is based off the West Penn. We designed that when I mentioned that Pat and I met at that.
You mean it's based off Corman?
Yeah, it's based off of Corman. We got some decals made up by Microscale.
Right.
And it's the West. His railroad is a fictional one called the West Penn. Right. And we came up with that paint scheme when Toffee and I met for breakfast that day that I mentioned.
Really?
Yeah, that's because he had mentioned I painted some Corman locos for myself, and he really liked the looks of them. And then we were talking at breakfast. He said, "I need your help coming up with a paint scheme." And I said, "Well, you like the Corman paint scheme? Why don't we just go with that?" And he said, "Yep, good idea."
So after he had retired from the Army, is that what he did? He moved to Pittsburgh to retire. Is that
his home? Has always been in Pittsburgh, but he would drive to Fort Indian Town Gap for the work week, and then he went home on the weekend. So he's lived in Pittsburgh ever since I've known him.
Okay, and how long has he been working on his layout? Or had he just started once he retired?
No, he just retired this year. In fact, I guess he's technically not retired. He had vacation saved up, so he's no longer working.
Right.
But he just retired like last month, or started on his vacation last month. But he actually had this layout. He designed it to be portable. He had it on the base with him, and now he's of course torn it down and moved it to his garage in his home. But he started that, I think he started that pretty close to the same time I started mine, back around 2018 probably.
So not very long ago then.
No.
If anybody wants to see a really interesting, when we talk about R.J. Corman, that is a railroad in Pennsylvania, central Pennsylvania area that was originally, it was basically a company that was was by one guy, R.J. Corman, and he started by, replacing ties and dealing with
wrecks. Yeah,
a lot of derailments and stuff like that. And on YouTube, there's a great hour-long documentary about him called "Working Hard to Be Lucky," the R.J. Corman story, and I highly recommend it to anybody that's interested.
I'll have to check that out because they don't operate too far from here. They interchange with Norfolk Southern at a place called Keating, Pennsylvania, which is only about an hour and a half from here.
Yeah, it's called "Working Hard to Be Lucky," the R.J. Corman story. It is it's a documentary made by the company about the founder of the company.
That's awesome. I'll have to check that out. Thank you.
You're welcome. And hopefully you do it before you hear this podcast.
I bet I will. Yep.
All right. Well, we'll see.
Yep. Yeah.
We'll check back in with you. We'll expect to get another email anyways about your experience of being on the podcast.
I'll do that. You want me to do like I did before and send 2 emails in like a 3-day span?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
It's great that you enjoy the podcast so much.
I do. I very much do.
It's very fulfilling for me at my end that you do enjoy it so much.
Yep.
Makes it very worthwhile to keep working away and making it right.
Well, I hope you do, because I do enjoy it a great deal.
Well, look how many people, man. If you guys had been able to stay at Tomstock, it would have blown your socks off.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I wish we could have.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
Yeah. But we're going to do it again in 2 years, so.
Yeah.
Or a year and a half, a bit.
And Pat's retired now, so he won't have Army duties, and I'll make sure that I keep my calendar clear for that summer. We were leaving for vacation. My wife and I were a few days after we came to the dinner, so that's why I couldn't stay. But Pat had stuff to do for the Army.
Right. And what's your wife's name?
Missy is her name.
And do you think she'll listen to this?
Oh, she might. Yeah, she might.
Yeah, I wouldn't if I would steer away from it.
It's kind of funny. You'll get a kick out of this because both Pat and I had this same situation with our wife. We get used to posting stuff to the Iron City webpage, and sometimes we forget to go to Iron City, and we'll just post a train video or something to our regular Facebook page. And both of our wives at different times said, you didn't post that to Iron City. You posted that to your page. And Pat and I were both like, yeah, we did. They said, all of our friends can see that. So both Pat's wife, Mary, and my wife both said the same thing.
Do you have any kids?
I don't have any of my own. I have a stepdaughter, Paige, who is also a teacher. She just started teaching.
Really, eh? You're a teaching family.
Yes. In fact, she used to teach at a place north of here, but she just started this year. She got hired to teach in the same district where we teach. She's a kindergarten teacher.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. Talk about keeping it in the family.
Yeah, for sure. Well, my brother and sister are both teachers too, and my dad was a teacher.
Wow. Holy smokes.
Huh.
Yeah.
Where did you go to college?
Lock Haven University.
Okay.
Which also isn't very far from here.
Wow.
Yep.
So you've basically lived in the hills of Pennsylvania your whole life.
I sure have. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. In fact, my parents, the house I grew up in is on, you mentioned Schoolhouse Road when you were looking. They're only about 200 yards from me, the house I grew up in. I never moved too far from home.
Huh. And why did you want to be a teacher?
I just always found physics to be interesting. I had a really good physics teacher when I was in high school, and he made it fun. And I thought, he's going to be retiring soon. And I was fortunate enough to get hired to replace him when he finished. I was always pretty good at explaining things like to other students. So I thought that might be something I can do.
Huh. So you replaced the physics teacher that you enjoyed taking physics from?
Yes, I did. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
So when you go to dinner in Jersey Shore, where do you like to eat?
There's a place called the Shore Diner in Jersey Shore that's pretty good. The Gamble Farm Inn is a good place to get a good bite to eat. If you just want like pizza and subs, there's a place called Pizza to Go, which is in Jersey Shore. Is a decent place.
Cool. I might have to just come to Jersey Shore just for the hell of it.
Well, that'd be great.
There you go.
Yep.
It's not that far away.
No. You kind of do it on the way down to Comstock.
Yeah, you could. You could hit it on the way to Comstock, I guess, couldn't you?
I think you did come through here, didn't you? Didn't you come through Williamsport on your way to Comstock? I thought you told me.
Well, I've been through Williamsport many times.
Okay.
So up highway, across 180 and up 15, or come up 15 and through downtown Williamsport.
Mm-hmm. That you were about 15 miles from where I am sitting when you came through Williamsport. So,
and does the West Susquehanna River runs east from where you are, right?
Yeah, it runs east for a while, then turns south, and it actually meets the north branch of the Susquehanna River right there at Northumberland that we were talking about before.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But it's the river where you are isn't big enough for any kind of, like, there was never any barges or anything like that running on it, was there? There
was a lot of logging around here. Williamsport was the lumber capital of the world, and they would make some pretty good sized lumber. What they would do, I guess, the story I got is when they logged off a bunch of lumber, they would lash it together somehow in a big raft and run it down. But no, there weren't any huge. Right. Not any huge. They were smaller. So yeah, it's not a huge navigable waterway by any means. There are a lot of recreational boaters on the West Branch of Susquehanna.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Well, how do you think it went?
I had a great time. I thought it went fine. What did you think?
I thought it was just exactly what I expected. A nice, relaxing chat about your model railroading life and your life in general, and it's turned out to be exactly what I expected. Just a nice, relaxing time spent with another fellow model railroader.
Agreed. Yep. And thank you very much for having me, guys. I enjoy it a lot, and I will continue to be a listener for sure.
Well, we'll have to make the Iron City guys.
You.
Yeah, well, thank you, but we'll have to make the Iron City guys like kind of our official T-track. T-track guys.
That would be cool.
Well, yeah, exactly, because somebody's got to keep track of it. Now I think it's finally starting to sink in exactly what it is. Okay. I'm surprised that it became so popular with the modules being as small as they are, but I understand it. Like, I get it and I don't get it. When you look at, say, I don't know, Fremo layouts, HO scale Fremo layouts, and most of those modules are 2 foot by 4 foot or whatever. They have a definite standards, and you guys don't even the width of them or the depth of them doesn't have a standard. So I get it, but I don't get it. If that makes any sense.
Well, I was pretty reluctant when Pat first started saying it, just because I had the same thought you did. You got all these tiny little box. It's going to look like it's not even, I thought it wouldn't even look like a layout. It would look like just a bunch of modules stuck together. But thankfully we got Kevin Squire involved. Like I said, he's got a great eye for fitting modules together so that it looks like more of a coherent layout setup. So it can be done. And I think that, it's just one of the great things about model railroading. There's something that works for everybody. Like some people prefer a larger Fremo type setup. Other people, don't have a huge vehicle to take something that big in. So the T-Track works better, I guess.
Yeah. And you guys have found each other, and you guys are definitely you guys are gung ho. I mean, I'm looking at the list, there's Mike, Jim, Pat, Tom, Brad, Kevin, Doug, Fran, Gary, and Tim. All of you guys got together at the show in January of 2023 at the Pittsburgh Carnegie Science Center.
Yep, that's right.
Randy Carlisle was my brother-in-law's first cousin.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. Huh.
Yeah. I'm assuming you're a Pittsburgh Penguins fan.
Oh, yes, I am. Very much so. Yeah, I remember him. But that's pretty cool.
It is very cool. I got
the small world.
Yeah, it was. I have a whole story about Randy Carlisle and the NHL and my brief interlude with the NHL.
Okay.
But that's for another day.
Sure.
Well, what do you think, boys? I think we call her a day, eh?
I think we had a lot of fun, learned a lot, kind of got a bit of a handle on T-Track, put the thought out there for T-Track at TomStack 2024, if somebody remembers to remind you, and life is good.
Yeah, and I also understand a bit more about Wiki now, too, because this is a cool site, this T-Track Wiki thing. Yeah. I don't understand it, but I understand it.
So maybe if you would have been in my class, you wouldn't have sat back there with a blank stare. Maybe we would have made a connection.
We might have made a connection, but you would have been pulling your hair out by the end of that.
Yeah, that's Strang boy.
It's that Strang boy.
Okay.
But if you needed plywood, he would definitely be able to transport.
I had the greatest setup in high school. I had the greatest setup in all. But my high school was so small, and I was a bit of a character. And because we had lived in the city, Toronto, and my dad insisted he had to have land, so we were outside, we were 4 miles away from the nearest town and 5 miles away from the nearest town. And as soon as I turned 16, I had my own wheels. And pretty quickly, I had my own pickup truck. And the problem all started was that the students' parking lot was considerably farther away from the front doors of the school than the teachers' parking lot.
Oh.
And because I arrived at the school, a minute before you had to be in class, I really didn't have time to park in the students' parking lot. And they
understand.
Yeah, they just couldn't seem to grasp that.
They weren't very understanding with your predicament, were they?
Until I got called, and then the principal finally says to me, "Is that your pickup truck?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "You got detention, but be here in my office at 3:30 for detention." And I go down there, and from that point forward, I was his helper. In grades 11 and 12, man, every time I got a detention, I just went and worked on his place. It was great.
That's cool.
I couldn't get in trouble.
Strang to the principal's office again. Okay.
Yeah. All right, that's it. Kelly, can you give out our email address?
If you want to reach us by the wonders of email, you can reach us at ModelersLife@gmail.com. That's modeler with one L like Iron City N scale, not two L's like Kelly.
Man, again, you were so close. One L like Iron City N scale, not two L's like Williamson.
Oh, that's true. Oh, man. Damn. That keeps happening. Oh,
you keep fouling off that third pitch.
You fouled it off. Foul play.
Yeah.
That's going in the wastebasket.
Yeah. And let's remind everybody that are the sponsor of this podcast, every Monday podcast, and really, in reality, the sponsor of all things AML is none other than Rapido Trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
Rapido Trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
That's right, and you can find them at rapidotrains.com and go there and they either buy direct from them or they love to have you buy from the dealers, and tell them Lionel sent you and see if that helps you or hurts you.
And let us know.
Yeah, let us know, because
we're kind of curious as to what's going on.
Yeah, we're curious to find out if that's going to be an advantage or a disadvantage. Rapido Trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
If it's N, if it's H-O, the fast track is Rapido.
I'm kind of liking this Jeep R9 RM. Man, that's
with a slug.
Yeah,
rebuilt with a slug.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yep.
They got some beautiful. The thing of it is, they just got some beautiful stuff. N scale. They got a lot of N scale stuff too.
They got a lot of great N scale stuff too. Yeah.
Do you have any N scale? What do you have from Rapido Trains there, Brad?
I have. I'm trying to think of the name of that modern switch engine that they make for Canadian. Is it a GMD1 or something like that?
The GMD1, the 6-axle or 4-axle version. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple of those, and I think I'm pretty sure I have like one of their FL9. Is it an FL9 that they made too?
FP9.
Or FP9, yeah.
I think the FL9 was a New Haven thing, wasn't it?
Yes,
yeah, it was. Yeah, I got my letters mixed up.
Do you have any of the AutoFlood 3 coal hoppers?
No, I don't have any of those. I might have to look into that though.
How about the Procore tank cars?
No, I don't have any of those either.
Man. The covered hoppers?
I don't think I have any. I don't know if I have any. I think I just have locomotives from Rapido at this point. I don't think I have any rolling stock. But.
Well, here's your. What's the next train show you're going to?
Most likely, the next one that I'll be going to is the Greenberg show in July in Monroeville.
Okay, yeah. When you get there, make sure you buy at least one Rapido freight car.
I'll do that.
All right.
And I'll tell them Lionel sent me.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, if you're just buying it off a retailer, I sincerely doubt they'll care or know who you're talking about. But if there's a Rapido booth, then tell them Lionel sent you.
Okay, I'll do that.
Too bad you're not an HO scale, because they're coming out with these GE 44 tonners.
Oh, yes.
They're also coming out with the pink well car.
The pink well car, yeah. And they're donating $5, I believe.
$5 per car, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. To the One More Year Fund. And
that's very cool.
Yeah. You know what I say? You know what I said last year, Brad, when I got about a half a mile from the hospital on my 60-mile walk?
Wasn't it something like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, what the hell am I doing? You think after 7 or 8 years I'd kind of learn, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's for a good cause, though. That's for sure.
It sure is.
Yep.
My psychiatrist always says, "Well, if it bothers you, why do you do it?" And I said, "Because it's there. Why wouldn't I?"
Yep.
Okay, that's it. We're out of here. So we've done the email address. Brad, if you didn't catch that email address, if you go to our website, ModelersLife.com, and scroll down just a little bit, you'll see a picture of the moderately agitated mailboy in a particularly agitated state. And if you just click on that picture, boom, the email's ready to go. All you got to do is fill in your subject line and your text. But I don't need to tell you, because you're a prolific AML emailer anyways.
Yeah, I was just going to say I have clicked on Bruce's picture several times now. So yeah,
there you go.
Wow. There you go.
Yep.
So you're the guy.
That explains all the black and blue marks.
Yeah.
Kind of like a voodoo doll. Like, well, what's going on here?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Brad, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Have you ever wanted a T-shirt with a hot dog on it?
I have. Well, are there really people who don't?
Good point.
Good point. Very, very good point.
Very astute. That's very astute. Well, if you know somebody that does and they don't have one, if they go to a Midwest Model Railroad and their URL is midwestmodelrr.com, and by the way, they sell Rapido Train products, plenty of them. So you can also order your Rapido Train stuff directly from Midwest Model Railroad. Notice the tie-in there, guys. Notice how I segue.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Yeah.
I think that's who I got my GMD ones from.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. And then, anyways, if you go to their website and go to the menu bar and scroll across to Other and click on Other, you'll see the AML shop there. And if you click on that, you're in a wonderland of AML merchandise, hats, hoodies, shirts, mugs, whatever you could possibly need. And in there,
I have actually purchased my model. That's where I got my Modelers Life T-shirt from. Was that very shop?
There you go.
Perfect. Yep. What a guy!
And their delivery is very fast.
Very fast delivery.
Yes,
especially when you buy Rapido products, they really get those out the door. Rapido makes so much stuff now. We got to get Jason. We're going to get Jason back on here and just. First question we'll ask him is, did you know that you're sponsoring the podcast? And
yes.
Second question is, how can they make so much stuff? It's getting confusing.
Yeah.
I think we got okay. And the other thing is, if you like this podcast and you like all the free podcasts and you're thinking to yourself, gosh, I wish there was 2 of these every week. If you click on the Patreon link on our website, modelerslife.com, boom, you'll go right to Patreon. And just for a few cents a day, you can have twice as much podcasting every week. And which is something you did, Brad, pretty quickly, I'm guessing.
Yep. I think it was 2 months after the first time I listened, I joined a Patreon channel.
What took you so long?
Yeah. What's your favorite part of the podcast?
Just the way that it's bringing, kind of like what we're doing, just bringing people together and just sharing all kind of really good information and getting to find out about so many great model railroaders and just the way you do the interviewing. It's not it's model railroading is definitely a big part of it, but it's just about life in general. Like we talked about how the purpose of a hobby should be to enhance somebody's life, and it just to me it just does all that. Getting to listen to the banner and all the new people that I would have never had any idea who any of them were.
Yeah,
I find out through this.
And I think the Patreon channel is kind of like sitting on the front porch after dinner, and you're sitting there with all your friends and just just shooting the poop there with your buddies and having a good old time. It's just more of a laid back, friendly atmosphere on the Patreon channel, and it's all those folks, you included, Brad, that help to support the podcast and helps us rent buses and RDC cars and all that stuff when we do all our fun. So that's
fantastic. Yep.
All right. Well, are you ready, Brad?
I am ready.
Oh, are you?
I think so.
You don't even know what we're going to do. Yeah,
I don't know for sure, but I have an idea what you might be going to do.
Well, what we need, Brad, is for you to say happy rails to you. Okay. Now, the key to happy rails to you is there's no singing, there's no dancing, there's no interpretation. It's just happy rails to you, said with enthusiasm.
Okay.
Can you handle that?
I think I can handle that, yes.
Well, Brad, as the sun slowly sets over the back 40 and we close the barn doors on another episode of A Modeler's Life, I guess there's nothing left it's
easy for you to say.
Yeah. Well, Brad, as we close the barn doors on another episode of A Modeler's Life, and the sun slowly sets over the back 40, I guess there's nothing else left to do except for you to say,
happy rails to you.
While in Busted Knuckle, guests of A Modeler's Life podcast stay at the Casa del Sol Motor Court and Inn, where late-night dancing at the Rumba Room is a magical event to be experienced.
It's another Lincoln Homer.
Bye.